What's good, YouTube? Jay Lee here. Got another Northwest podcast for you today. Hopefully, my audio holds up today. If it doesn't, I'll have to be redoing this somewhere else. But anyway, I am recording in a place that my audio in the past has messed up, so we'll see how it goes. But I want to make a podcast about J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, versus Jennifer Garner, as opposed to which one is better wifey material for Ben Affleck. And, I don't gossip a whole lot on my channel. I don't, talk about stars or get into Hollywood. And in fact, I probably talk about Hollywood in a very bad light because Hollywood is pretty much, full of Sodom and full of infidelity, full of divorce. Hollywood is not at all the ideal of society. And why would it be, right? These people are living, greedily in excess, doing dirt, doing all kinds of immoral things. Right. I might talk about them as a side note occasionally, like if I'm talking about, say, Leonardo DiCaprio, who never got married and he just bangs young girls on his yacht all day, right? And the implications there, what that means and things like that. But I rarely, if ever, talk about Hollywood. But I do like Ben Affleck. And I've always liked Ben Affleck. I just do. Some people probably have good reasons not to like him. I guess he's a philanderer. He's I'm not sure if that's the right word, but basically he's cheated on Jennifer Garner, and I know he has kids with Jennifer Garner. He actually made a great red pill movie. I forget what it's called. I forget the name of it. You can look it up. He actually made a great red pill movie, and I don't think it was Jennifer Garner he made the movie with. But it was a movie about a guy who lost his job, and it was the process of him getting his job back, and his wife was pressuring him. I don't remember what it was. I think I saw it in like 2010 or something, like so long ago. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it's called like Downsizing or something like that. Anyway, let's talk about Ben Affleck. Like I said, one of my favorite. I like Ben Affleck. I just do. I don't know why. He was good in Good Will Hunting. He was good in I loved him in The Town. That's one of my favorite movies. Great movie. But he's interesting because he's a atypical Hollywood hunk, tall guy in great shape. He did that movie Daredevil, and that's where he met Jennifer Garner, and he was pretty ripped in Daredevil. He did Batman. I don't think I saw his version of Batman because obviously, Christian Bale's the best Batman, or at least those are the best Batman movies. But he's the typical Hollywood hunk, and he used his clout, his fame, to mess around on Jennifer Garner, and he admitted to being an alcoholic. Now, I think I've touched on this a little bit in the past, but I can't remember. I will say that Jennifer Garner left him at his lowest moment. Now, it's debatable. These are one of those things where it's like, it's debatable on whether or not a woman should stay because, if a guy's really messing up and he's just being a total wretch, I say in that case a woman should leave. But maybe she should only leave temporarily until he gets cleaned up, right? Jennifer Garner got a divorce. I mean, she wanted out, period. She didn't want him anymore. Now, there's rumors that he was cheating on her. So in that case, the trust is broken, which means the love bond is broken, because when you cheat on somebody, you are crapping on the love bond, essentially. You're crapping on that person, and you're crapping on the love bond. So in that case, I think, a woman should leave, or excuse me, I shouldn't say should leave. I should say it's up to her. And I would say, in general, objectively, anybody who cheats, man or woman, in my opinion, the relationship should be over. But I know there's people who, stick around in the relationship, and it goes both ways. Sometimes men stick around when women cheat. Sometimes women stick around when men cheat. When I was younger, I used to feel that, a woman shouldn't leave a man if he cheats. Like, where's your love? As I got older, I realized, what, it's you're breaching the love bond. So in that case, like, yeah, leave. Like, when somebody cheats on you, that's it. It's over. Like, period. In my viewpoint. But again, it's up to each individual and it's up to each person to make that decision. So he cheated around on her and she didn't want any of it. So I respect that decision. Because he cheated. But if it was just alcoholism, if he was just struggling with, I think it was gambling and alcoholism was his problems, but he also was a cheater. So because of the cheating, I think it was justified for him to leave. But with that said, I think, I'm not 100% sure the case, but I think he said that he was cheating because of his deep alcoholism. And so she did leave him at his lowest point. So I'm kind of, probably 80-20. Like, she should have left him 80%. 20, she could have stayed with him, but she decided to leave. So I'm not that mad at Jennifer Garner actually in this, now that I think about it, because he cheated. So anyway, the debate here from this goal cast is because he cheated and because he was an alcoholic and he went through, I don't know why he was going through that, or if he just was, falling victim to his vices of, womanizing and gambling and alcoholism, whatever. Because he cheated, she left, and he's on the market. He's been on the market for the last few years. And J-Lo, who I made a video about recently, who can't keep a man, is pretty much the title of my video. She broke up with A-Rod, who was cheating, I think, or they just said, we can't do this anymore because A-Rod was banging. I think it was rumored that A-Rod was banging, basically banging prostitutes, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that ended, and J-Lo and Ben hooked up again recently, and now they're a couple, which is ironic because I always thought they had a fling. I mean, they had chemistry like back in the day. So that's my gossip for today as far as that goes. But what I really want to talk about on the red pill is which one is better for Ben, and will it work out between J-Lo? In my opinion, no, because J-Lo has a track record a mile long of not being able to keep men. I don't think it's going to work out based on that. And Ben is, taken to philandering, taken to, messing around. So I don't think that she's really a good woman for him. But I could be completely wrong. And it might just be one of those things where it's like, hey, this just works. We have chemistry. We love each other. This just works. And in that case, I'd be like, hey, good for them. I guess, whatever. They're both kind of, toxic people in their own way. They both have deep problems, which is why they keep messing up in life, But hey, sometimes that works. Sometimes two people find each other and they got similar messed up problems and they just support each other and it just somehow freaking works. So I wouldn't, I'd be happy for Ben because, like I said, I like Ben. And maybe he's a philanderer, maybe he's a jerk. And I've heard that he's tied to Harvey Weinstein in some ways. And, these guys have a ring of, just like the Chris D'Elia thing with Brian Callen, et cetera, et cetera. Guys in Hollywood, they have this this kind of unspoken little ring of, debauchery. And maybe that's what it was. And in that case, I would lose respect for Ben. And I don't really respect cheaters in general. But, it's Hollywood, whatever, right? It's Hollywood. And it's gossip. It's Hollywood bullshit, right? This really isn't real life. In a way, but some of the things they go through and things that play out in their life kind of do, transcend money, kind of do transcend their fame and their status. And I think this is one of those things because this is the kind of thing that can happen to regular people, right? You all of a sudden have a drug problem or an alcohol problem, and all of a sudden you're out, messing around with different women or, different men, which is probably more common with women because, as we know in the red pill, the average guy does not have access to the opposite sex for sex, right? But the average woman does. So it's easier for a woman to just, pick up a drug problem and go out and sleep around. And, it is what it is. And I think that happens. So this is what happened with Ben and Jennifer. But, which one is better? That's an interesting thing. I think that they're different. I think that Jennifer had the aura of a, Stepford wife. That's probably not even the right. I don't even know what the fuck that is really. But she had the aura of a good mom, good wife, very loving, da 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 da. But she also left Ben at his lowest, right? She left Ben when he was really messing up. And sometimes guys need that. A guy, well, maybe sometimes guys and girls need that, If they're out, cheating, messing around, you know, if they're messing up, sometimes they need a wake up call. And the wake up call is, yeah, you ruined your relationship. It's over. Your significant other left you, and I don't know if he tried to get her back. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that they're on good terms, and I think that she did that. She didn't want to, ruin their chemistry, or their I should say their cordiality, if that's not even a word, but how cordial they are to each other. She didn't want to ruin that, based on their kids. So she's a woman of somewhat noble character in that sense that, she didn't badmouth him, or she didn't, and it's probably a performance. It's probably she did that on purpose because they have kids and because they're famous and things like that. But, outwardly speaking, she seems like the type of woman who would make a better wife. And probably because she that's what she tries to fit into that image of a nice girl next door. But that can be very deceptive. I will say, at least Jennifer Lopez, I don't think she tries to pretend to be pure or tries to pretend to be something she's not in that sense. But I don't think she has a good track record, and she's part of the major problem of why women are messed up today. And I've talked about that before. The type of music she put out in the 1990s, the late 1990s and the early 2000s, she helped build that diva, bad woman. I'm a sexy bad woman, and men are below me. I'm a Medusa goddess type thing. Her, Britney Spears, Beyonce and Taylor Swift, all these ones, who came around from the late 1990s to the, 2010s and, beyond. These ones are the ones who are responsible for a lot of these modern thoughts, a lot of these women out here. And in each generation, each decade, it gets worse and worse. Now we got these OnlyFans girls, and they're just doing it because they're just building on what the last, generation, decade of women were doing. These are the Pied Pipers, the J-Los, the Beyoncés, the Britney Spears, the Keshas, etc. These are the Pied Pipers who lead women down the wrong road. So I don't respect Jennifer Lopez for that, right? And I always laugh when, Britney Spears and J-Lo and certain ones, they get, that they have crappy lives, because it's like, that's karma. You influenced a lot of young women to go down the wrong road with your music, and you sold out for fame. And maybe that's who you are. I don't know. You have no semblance of, the difference between right and wrong, right? And you can say I'm judging, whatever, but that's just the truth. That is the generation that I grew up in. I saw these songs that these women were putting out where they were advertising themselves as sex symbols, and they were advertising themselves as, divas, and I'm such a powerful woman, and woo woo woo. And like, so I don't respect J-Lo for that. I don't respect, and it's like, yeah, you can't keep a man. And Britney Spears has had a crappy life, and it's like, I don't respect that. It's like, it goes for men too. When Dr. Dre got screwed over by his wife, it's like, Dr. Dre is responsible for a lot of gang activity. He's responsible for, he got rich off of exploiting that negative image, right? He promoted negative lifestyles, partying and having sex, and how many STDs has he helped, be responsible for? How many kids out of wedlock? How many abortions? How many, all the negativity that comes from partying and sleeping around and that type of, promoting that type of lifestyle. you have to take some responsibility for that because you influence the masses with your music, right? And I if you listen to my channel enough, you'll know that I believe that Satan is behind that. Satan is behind that, and I, I grew up listening to it. It influenced my life in a negative way. Thankfully, I mean, I'm sure I've had many hard times, many depressed days, many, bad experiences I went through because I was influenced by that type of, worldly music, because I was influenced by that type of negative music. So she's part of that, you know? So in a way, I don't, anything that happens to her, like that's negative, like I'm just like, yeah, you deserve it, because I know this woman influenced a lot of young women to, tease men, be promiscuous, she played into that, oh, a sexual woman is powerful and I'm going to use it to, you know, influence men to do what I want. And, I'm a modern Medusa kind of thing. She played into that, right? So, from a red pill perspective, I gotta think about that. I gotta talk about that, so Jennifer Garner would be better, right? Jennifer Garner would be more wifey material, as she's more vanilla, as she's more pure, and we don't know if that's because it's a role she's playing. There's plenty of women who pretend to be nice and sweet, and that's their game, that's their grift, right? That's their angle. They're pretending to be nice and sweet when in reality they do all kinds of dirt. When in reality their heart is, deceitful and jaded and greedy and lustful and all these things. We don't know. And sometimes it's the opposite. Like sometimes a woman will portray, like J-Lo might be a really sweet girl on the inside. I doubt it, but I don't think that she's corrupted, right? But it's like, I don't think that she has a maliciously corrupted heart per se, right? But she could be still very greedy, very lustful. I mean, she's a multimillionaire, right? It's like, anyway, right? This is all just Hollywood gossip and conjecture and all that kind of crap. But, don't let appearances fool you. Just because Jennifer Garner's this nice, sweet, smiley, Stepford wife or whatever, doesn't mean, she's this, she portrays herself as a sweet, nice girl, but it doesn't mean that she's really like that in real life, especially, once you take the red pill and you realize that, a lot of these women are out here playing a game. They're out here being deceitful. And so are men. So, so could Ben be, we know his struggles. And the difference is that women can get away with it a lot of times. Men have to, men get called on the carpet, right? Just like Ben did. She left him. Right? She left him. She didn't stick around through his hard times. And like I said, he cheated. So it's like, when that happens, trust is gone and love leaves, right after that. So that is what it is. But, yeah, man, it's just an interesting thing to talk about. It's an interesting thing to think about, because I'm curious to see if J-Lo and Ben will work out. But I think also, in a way, we could look at Jennifer Lopez's situation like she was actually really riding the cock carousel for all these years. And she's 40 now and she looks like crap without makeup. Like she wears a ton of... Actually, this picture on the left isn't even recent. But if you see her without makeup recently, she's like 40. I think she's even older than 40. No, she's 50, I think now. Jeez, yeah, she's like 40. I think she might even be, she's probably 50. And I think so is Ben Affleck, actually. Let's look that up real quick. How old are these people? So yeah, what I mean by that is it's time for her to settle down. Like she's ridden the cock carousel. She's 52. Ben Affleck is, how old is he? Ben Affleck age. He's 49, right? So these are old people at this point, and they've both, played around, and now they're realizing, wait a minute, I don't want to be. But it's Hollywood, right? I mean, realistically, they've got the type of money to have whatever type of lifestyle they want. If they want to be lustful and cheat around, or they can do that, because when you have money you can do whatever you want until the day you die. That's because that's the kind of world we live in, which is sick and sad. But But really, people, I think even Hollywood people, even people who have access to, any lust and desire they want in life, they still want love. I think love is something that everybody wants. Love is something that everybody has within them. And people still want love. So what I see with J-Lo from a red pill perspective is I see a woman who's really past her epiphany phase. She's past the wall. She definitely hit the wall, although, with makeup, makeup can do wonders, and she's not overweight, and she's eaten well, and she stays in shape. But, when you're 52 as a woman, you're aging like milk. It's the way it is. It's nature. Sorry, ladies, but she can only do, makeup and staying in shape and eating right can only do so much when you're a woman, particularly when you've lent your body out to a lot of different men. You get dried up, you get used, you look dried up, you look used. So, but my point is, from a red pill perspective, she's at the wall. She needs to settle down. She needs to find a guy, a high value guy that she can lock down. Ben is a high value guy. He's a Hollywood star. He's good looking. Well, now he's aged, and yes, he has his problems. So he himself is a guy on discount. Although I like him, I got to be honest that he's not an incredible catch, because he seems to be a very selfish guy, and a guy who will cheat, and a guy who has vices, right? He has an alcoholism problem. And actually, in a way, J-Lo might not be good for him, right? Because she might look the other way, on his vices. She might not care. So, Ben might succumb to his vices in his later years. He might be overtaken by his vices in his later years, and he might go out like Ernest Hemingway or something, somebody or Hunter Thompson, although that's a pretty extreme example. Somebody who is following their desires and vices and things like that until there's really no redemption. There's really no coming back. So he does have kids with Jennifer Garner, so he probably wants to stay healthy and clean for his kids. I think he has gone to rehab and things like that, and he's to whatever extent been rehabilitated. But it can be a dark cave of addiction. It really can. It can be a dark place to go, and you go there because you have some kind of inward problem, and a lot of times you don't even know what that problem is. You just have some trauma or unresolved depression or something like that, and that's why you go into that addictive downward spiral, that addictive phase in your life. And sometimes it's easy to backslide into it. It's easy to fall back into it. So I don't know if she's the best example of a woman who would encourage him not to be in that life. J-Lo, she might actually encourage him to be in that life. A lot of these stars are doing cocaine behind the scenes. They're on pills, and you don't know, man. Because a lot of times what they got to do to become stars, and they got to put on a persona, and not only that, they probably got to do dirty stuff with people they don't want to do dirty stuff with, to get jobs and things like that. And so we don't know, man. Hollywood is a real dark place. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully my audio held up in this video. If not, I don't know. Maybe I'll make another one. We'll see. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Appreciate you guys listening to my little Hollywood gossip for today. It's been Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.